All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is for County Commissioner District 2. I will allow the candidates 2 minutes for an introduction. Please limit your comments at this point to an introduction, as the first question will discuss your qualifications directly.
I'm Parrish. Been living here in Cook County all my life. Grew up on a farm here on Highway 76. My father, Lindsey Parrish, mother, Martha Parrish. Started running a family business, small landscape business here in Cook County for 20 years. We've been successful with it. We've had our ups and downs, hard times, and pulled out all of them. I want to serve for District 2 County Commissioner, try to help each and every one of the citizens in Cook County. And I appreciate y'all's vote if we can get it.
What did you say?
Sorry, you need to speak up.
Speak up a little bit. Can y'all hear me now? Yeah. There we go. I'm Lynn Parrish. Lived here in Cook County all my life. My father was Lindsey Parrish. My mother was Martha Parrish. Lived on a family farm here on Highway 76. About worked all my life on the farm. They like to work us to death. Started running a small landscape business roughly 20 years ago. Me and my mother started out. Went through some rough times starting up, got going. We worked about 3 or 4 different states here. Worked with a lot of people out of state, big corporate offices and small jobs here in Adel. Wanted to try to come run for county commissioner to try to improve the county and help each and every one of the citizens here and try to bring a little more industry back to town. Seemed like we kind of shrunk in the last few years. If I can get some support from each and every one of you, I do the best of my ability. Thank you.
How y'all doing? I want to thank you all for coming and taking the time out of your busy schedule to get involved with Cook County. And I'd love to see this crowd at some of the commissioner meetings, but I thank you for coming tonight. I'm Michael Dinnerman, currently serving as Cook County Commissioner, District 2. If there's one thing that I believe everyone can agree on, is that I am knowledgeable and I'm passionate about Cook County. And Cook County's well-being is my only personal agenda. Even though it may seem that Cook County government is dysfunctional, let me assure you that with my 16 years of experience in proven leadership, it can be repaired. In January of 2013, Cook County will be governed by a majority of relatively new board members. It is important that the new board understand the decisions and the goals of previous office holders, as well as the mistakes made in the past few years, in order for them to make good, sound decisions. We must work together towards a common goal to hold down taxes and to keep Cook County affordable for its citizens. We must create more jobs and build a broader tax base in Cook County to be able to keep the taxes relatively low. Therefore, we must continue with the Economic Development Commission, the Adel Industrial Authority, and the Airport Authority. So why should you elect Mike Dinnerman, and what is my plan? Well, my plan is simple and straightforward. Regarding our county's finances, I will manage the assets we already have more efficiently. I will grow and improve the revenue base, and I'll put management and accountability back into the process by identifying and correcting our inefficiencies.
Time. To the first question, did you flip a coin? Very well. Question 1, what qualifies you to be the next county commissioner for your district?
Well, one of the things is I've spent 16 years on the county commission. Y'all have invested, I can't tell you the number of dollars in the hours, the hundreds of hours I have in training. I've been certified, I've been advanced certified. I have worked and I wear the hat of on the Economic Development Commission. I work for the Industrial Authority and also represent the Airport Authority. I understand government, or Cook County government, the whole ball of wax. I see it from all different angles. I understand all the funding. I understand the different accounts. I understand how you work the SPOSH. I understand how you work FEMA money, Federal Highway Administration, One Georgia money. I know where to go and get grants. I know the contacts. I know the people. And the contacts that I have built over the last 16 years is probably irreplaceable by anybody at this time, and especially in a short period of time. Thank you.
Parrish?
I feel like I've sitting here running a business for the last 20 years. I haven't made a political career out of it. We've worked. I maintained and increased the business. Like I said, we went and slumped and we pulled out. I'm aware that we need to run the whole county at the lowest cost we can, and I know a lot of people out of town that we can talk to up in the Atlanta area for economic development, bring industry in, and I feel like I'll attend all these trainings and meetings that the state requires us to do and be on top of everything as well as I can.
Next question. What will you do as county commissioner to balance the budget without raising taxes or cutting personnel? If you'll proceed, we'll just alternate if that's agreeable to you, John. Go ahead.
Trying to raise revenue for the county. My plan is to try to bring in a little more industry, have a little better understanding with the Georgia Economic Development people. We have kind of have a little trouble with Georgia Economic Development right now with Cook County. Feel like we can go in and mend things out with them and let them try to send some stuff down here to us. That would kind of help us out. The revenue for us, the Sheriff Patrol bringing in revenue, that's, in my opinion, I don't think the Sheriff's Department should have to fund the whole county. I think it helps, but I feel like we had more business, more industry, maybe bring in a little more retail stuff here in Cook County. I feel like that would increase the revenue here in Cook County and drop some of the taxes or lower the taxes for us.
Can you repeat the question? Yes. What will you do as county commissioner to balance the budget without raising taxes or cutting personnel?
Well, the first thing I think you need to understand is anywhere that we can be efficient and cut spending, I think we need to do that. I mean, that's the basic, that's real basic. I think we need to create the partnerships with our constitutional officers, and they need to understand what their role is in the county. My opponent mentioned that the Sheriff's Department shouldn't have to fund the whole budget. The budget of the Sheriff's Department is about, a total is about $2.7 million. At one time, you know, we were looking at fines and forfeitures. That is a line item on your revenue side of your budget. And we look at it, and between fines and forfeitures, and you have inmate housing, those two line items can generate between, I'd say in prisoner housing, there's room for $400,000, $450,000 without crowding the jail. We showed heads on bed to about 82. We have a jail that's a 108 bed jail. We can put about 120% in. So basically we can put 120 prisoners in there. We could easily generate $450,000 if we house them from other counties. Fines and forfeitures, you know, that's anybody's guess. In the name of safety, I think there's people running up and down interstate and they're flying. And between public safety and drug interdiction, I think there's money to be had. On top of that, I think that we need to use the grants and leverage our local dollars with some of these grants and some of the programs. I feel like that I have been a master at, and I don't misunderstand me manipulating, but manipulating the funds that
Time is quick. Time is strictly enforced.
No problem.
To you again, sir. What are your views on serving on the board of your volunteer fire department in your district?
You know, I look at the volunteer fire department, and you know, we're all here doing the same thing. We're public servants. And you know, we take time out of our schedule and out of our time and out of our life for the citizens of Cook County. And it's a passion, and it's a passion for them, it's a passion for me. You know, I said when I first got on the commission, they were getting about $2,500 a piece, and it amounted, 5 fire departments at the time were getting $10,000. We put in extra fire department. You know, I made the statement they shouldn't have to have cakewalks and barbecues to get their basic equipment. Today we fund that with about $113,000. I think we need to be smart about how we do it and what we do and how we give it to them. They do need to understand that your government cannot give money without strings being attached and accountability. And I think that if the volunteer fire department would understand that, we'd all be on the same page, because again, we're here to serve the public. And I am pro volunteer fire department. As you heard earlier, we bought turnout gear and hoses and some other things to bring them up to standard. We understand that when you bring the ISO rating down in Cook County, it pays dividends to your citizens, and it cuts your insurance. So, thank you.
Sir.
I feel like as long as we can keep ISO rating lower, I think we need to stay on top of that, keep it as low as we can, and try to improve the services and improve the equipment for each and every one of the volunteer fire departments. I think they've done a really good job from what they've had in the past, and I think our main thing is to keep the ISO rating as low as we can and give them the best funds we can support them with.
Very well, sir. Next question. Explain the cost-benefit ratio of having our airport upgraded.
I feel like the airport being upgraded, I feel like that's something that we do need in the future for industry coming in here, somewhere for these folks to come to. I feel like it's a little bit early right now to be working on the airport. We don't have very much industry here. I know we have to have an airport once we do it. There's nothing in the works right now for a lot of industry in Cook County. It's real concrete. But I do think that eventually they'll use the airport in Cook County. I feel like it's just a little early right now.
Thank you. Sir.
Well, one thing, we don't have a mindset, you know, it's not if we build it, they'll come. If we don't build it, they won't come. You know, these bigger companies, they fly multi-million-dollar planes. And it's their upper management that can't afford to hop in a car or fly commercially and spend all day flying. They got to get in and they got to get out. I was in Atlanta, and we were with Cockwood EMC, and we met with them, and we had a seminar on economic development. One thing they showed us was about a 10-minute film on why airports are important to Georgia. There's 104 airports in Georgia, and the federal government and the state government, they understand and they put this money in transportation so we can compete on a national or state level with anybody. They put that money there. We were given $500,000 by all the municipalities and earmarked as a SPOSH project for the airport. And there's questions, why are we pouring money into the airport? We could spend $500,000, okay, of SPOSH money on that airport, or we could go out and do what we did and get $3.5 million worth of grants and do $4 million worth of improvements. To me, it's a no-brainer. You know, the airport is important, and people fly in and out of there. We have companies flying in looking at steel buildings. We have people flying in for Lennox River Ranch and Live Oak Plantation. We have drivers flying in for the races. People, this is a sleeper. Nobody, unless
Time. Next question. 2 years ago, an auditor reported that our county was in very good financial shape. Fast forward 2 years. We have a $1.3 million shortfall. To what do you attribute this shortfall, and what can be done to improve our deficit?
Well, you know, unfortunately, it didn't just start. You know, in 10 years, it took us 10 years to build up a fund balance of $2.7 million. And we built that fund balance with a window of opportunity that we had when we had the new jail. And we knew that that window of opportunity was not going to last. Could you repeat that?
Yes. 2 years ago, an auditor reported that our county was in very good financial shape. Fast forward 2 years, we have a $1.3 million shortfall.
Anyway, we built the fund balance to $2.7 million. When 4 years ago, when we had a new election, it started with $60,000 worth of raises or promotions at the Sheriff's Department. That equated $240,000 over a 4-year period. Then we looked at the shortage on the jail, on what we were getting for prisoner housing. We looked at the shortage that in the revenue that was projected on fines and forfeitures, and we missed the boat by about $300,000 a year. That $300,000 a year equates to about $1.2 million, plus another $240 is about almost $1.5 million. In setting the budget, which the commissioner is responsible for, I've looked at numbers for 16 years. I've tried to get the commissioners to understand that we were overestimating the revenue, and we actually had the sheriff come in. I asked him directly to say, okay, they're going to put you down for $600,000. What do you think you can get? You're tracking about $460,000. He said, well, that's more realistic. They still put him down for $600,000. They said there were expenditures that were understated. There were line items that were missed. I brought it to their attention, and I said, look,
Parrish?
Could you repeat?
You're not going to let me finish anything, are you?
That's why formal debates have 2-minute drills.
You're tougher than a night in jail.
I've got a good lawyer. And a brother who's a deputy United States Marshal.
You got my respect.
To repeat the question, 2 years ago, an auditor reported that our county was in very good financial shape. Fast forward 2 years, we have a $1.3 million shortfall. To what do you attribute this shortfall, and what can be done to improve our deficit?
That's a question I can't answer. I haven't been up there. I haven't watched what happened for the last 15 years. I have been working, and I know you said the last year and a half, and not 15. I feel like some of the county commissioners have not got along very well, especially with the Constitution officers, offices. If they could get along with these Constitution officers and agree on things, amend together, and do things a little different, I think the hard-headedness wouldn't cause decline in some of this income from different areas. As far as fixing this, I feel like I could go in and be a lot more conservative, get along with the Constitution officers and work with them and try to increase the revenue coming in.
Thank you, sir. Next question. What are your thoughts on making Cook County wet?
Well, I guess everybody here probably knows I'm not a drinker neither. I have to work too much to even drink. But as far as it becoming wet, I think it's everybody's business what they want to do at their own house. I feel like people going out of town and buying alcohol, their tax money's going out of town. I feel like we can keep it here in Cook County. But to me, I feel like we probably would not have a wet county. I'd vote for not having a wet county.
Sir.
Well, first of all, I didn't know we weren't a wet county. We have beer, we have wine, and we also have liquor by the drinks. And we have it, I believe, in the city, and we also have it in the county. But I think you're referring to package.
Yes.
And personally, you know, if I look at the money that the county, not the city, but the county generates on tax revenue, it only amounts to about $5,000 or $6,000 a year. You know, it's negligible to a $8.4 million budget, which this budget's going to be 1.7. Personally, I don't have an issue with alcohol, but you know, that's something that I think is a personal thing. I think it needs to be decided by the public, and you know, it's a coin toss with me.
Thank you, sir. Last question. What are your views on South Georgia Motorsports Park, and how can the county best utilize it as a tourist attraction?
Well, I was one of the ones that was on the commission at the time we brought the racetrack in, and there was a couple reasons we wanted the racetrack, but one of the reasons was we had 3,000 acres on South 41, and if we brought in that racetrack, we could get a grant for $500,000 to run a 10-inch sewer line all the way to the racetrack and open up 3,000 acres to economic development. So that was one of our #1 reasons we wanted a project down there. The other thing is, you know, they have some pretty big races, and we had the Hooters and we had some other races, and as far as tourism, it put Cecil, Adel on the map. There's people, and we have races that are televised, and it made people aware that there is a Cook County, Georgia, and I think that's important. It brings in revenue, it's entertainment for our citizens, and it provides jobs. And I can tell you that from day one that I have been a big supporter of the racetrack, and I will continue to be a supporter of the racetrack as long as they stay within our agreed ordinance.
Mr. Parrish?
I don't have really a problem with the racetrack. I live on the other side of the county. I understand a lot of people have a problem as far as noise level in Cecil. I could understand that if I lived across the field from it. It would probably be a problem for me too. I understand it bringing in some taxes. I haven't been there just to study on the racetrack to see what kind of revenue it brings in per year, but I think there should have been a lot more studying done as far as sound levels and stuff for the citizens of Cecil, Georgia, and looking into it a little bit more. I know I live probably 15 miles across the woods from it, and I can hear them at the house racing too. So I'm not really going to make a comment whether it's good or bad, but I think nobody really knows what it's like to live right there under it, and I understand it is bringing in revenue, but I don't want to comment on that.
Very well, sir. That concludes the questions. I will give you both 2 minutes for a closing statement. Sir? He started with the opening statement. You start with the closing statement. Just 2 minutes now.
Well, I think that Cook County, everybody needs to work together. All the elected officials need to work together with the county commissioners. It's not us against them, but they need to understand that our county and our citizens can only afford X number of dollars. You know, and I'll give you an example. You want to run the sheriff's department? We don't need nuclear weapons to protect our citizens. We've got to protect our citizens with what we can afford. You know, I think we need to continuously work on economic development, bringing in industry, building our tax base, and again, providing jobs where we can have a quality of life in Cook County, but we have to be able to afford it. I can't say that enough. You know, when we talk to the constitutional officers, you know, I have the worst rap in the business because I say no. You know, when they want extra things that Mike Dinnerman don't think they can afford, I say no. You know, we can't afford it. They said, you build a fund balance, why weren't we getting raises? Because we built that fund balance on a window of opportunity that doesn't exist. So now we've got something that's a non-reoccurring revenue source, and if we give raises, it's a reoccurring expense, and we couldn't cover that. You know, I said, if you get out and generate the revenue and you show us that you can do it on a continuous basis, we will be glad to put it in our employees, but I, Mike Dinnerman, will not give raises on the backs of the taxpayers. I refuse to do that. If everybody wants to work together, and
that's time again. Mr. Parrish.
I would just like to let everybody know that, you know, I'd like to be willing to work with everybody here and the citizens of Cook County. I feel like that Cook County needs a plan further out. I don't think we've had a plan, a 5 or 10 year plan. I feel like we need to go in and think the worst and try to have a 5, maybe 10 year plan, 10 years way out. But I don't think that they have a plan that far out. It's sort of month by month or year by year. I'll be glad to work with the Constitution offices and try to mend between them and work between each one of the city councilmen, or excuse me, county commissioners, and do the best job I can with them. I feel like we can try to cut and work on things the best we can as far as cutting different areas and different offices here. I feel like we can cut a little bit here and there, save some revenue here. I'll be glad to work with the Sheriff's Department and help all I can there. Also, I'd like to, you know, try to get back in with the Georgia Economic Development folks and try to get them down here and work with us. See if they can help us out a little bit more. I feel like they're kind of stuck on some stuff right now, and work with each one, everybody here. But if I could get y'all support as Lynn Parrish, as District 2 County Commissioner, I'd do the best job I can do for y'all.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll take a 5-minute break. Smoke them if you got them, drink them if you got them, go eat yourself a cookie, and we'll come back for the debate with the Tax Commissioner's office.